Do you want to get a solo play going so bad, but a lot of the suggestions that you've seen on Reddit and YouTube just are not working for you, like oracles and just opening a book and just going to what speaks to you? Well, today we're going to try something a little different. Today we're going to use music. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sacred, and this is the Sacred Art of Gaming, where we like to talk about tabletop gaming with a focus on solo play. And today, we're gonna talk about using music to get your solo play going. Mainly lyrics in this sense because, copyright and all of that. So yeah, if at any point you're digging the content as you're watching it, feel free to slap a like on this bad boy. Maybe consider subscribing if you wanna see more like this. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a song, and I think it's important to take a song that is universally liked by everyone, not divisive in any way, hasn't really been like in the media in a way that really has everyone on social media arguing one way or the other. I'm thinking maybe something like They Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. I think that's a solid option. So, admittedly, the reason why I chose this was not necessarily to be controversial. It was because there was, the copyright was lifted at some point, but I guess that was temporary. And I also think that this is a song that is not necessarily like obvious, as opposed to like, let's say like Led Zeppelin, for example. There's a lot of those songs that are, they very easily transition into like a fantasy game. Whereas this, not obvious. And I think that that will be good. Won't be able to play the music, of course, but we do have the lyrics. So let's get started. So in this situation, we're assuming that we probably have a system that maybe we'd want to use. You could like kind of make your own, but we're gonna assume that you have a system. The song isn't gonna give us a system. You could use something very simple like Morkborg. You could use something like White Box, Knave. Cairn 2nd edition is an excellent recommendation, and it's free. That's insane, but we're not getting into that. What we're kind of focusing on here is the inspiration to like the story, because I think that's where people kind of struggle. So first things first, what I would do, I would listen to the song, and maybe you heard a song in your car, maybe there's, maybe you just go on Spotify and you just hit random, however you want to do it. So something that we're not going to focus on too much here is the feel of the song, because the feel, you're going to get the feel more so from listening to it, but we can really dive into the lyrics. A good example of feel, if you've heard of a band called Coheed and Cambria, one of my favorites, they have a pretty popular song called Welcome Home. And in that song, there is a guitar solo, but it's kind of like a dueling guitar solo. That dueling guitar solo makes me personally feel like two epic powers are battling, like crazy, like Dragon Ball Z, some type of over-the-top anime 5-episode situation where, they're throwing hyper beams at each other. That's what I picture, or like two massive dragons or something. And that's a good example of feel. There's no words, that's just how it feels to me. Anyways, back to Kendrick Lamar and Not Like Us. So my recommendation is take like 3, maybe 5 sections of a song that maybe speak to you. Maybe it even encompasses like large portions of the song. So I'm gonna kind of go in order of how the lyrics come up. And one of the first ones that jump out to me is beat your ass and hide the Bible if God's watching. I think that's an excellent line. And the reason why it stands out to me is that this can play into a lot of different games, because the feel of that line to me is that God is watching you. God is watching you, God is watching us, and then what are the ramifications of that? Is God or gods good or bad in this world? I don't know, but I love the line hits hard, but also there's a fear. There's a fear that something might happen to you if God sees a thing that you did, or gods. So there's one. The next one that I want to focus on, which I'm sure everyone focuses on, is trying to strike a chord, and it's probably a minor. Very popular line in the song, not a popular theme for a game. So, and there's definitely a lot of this within the song, but we don't necessarily have to take it for like literally what they're saying. So in my mind, there's a lot of stuff about like underage kids is kind of the point here. But I would like to twist that because I don't really want that in my game. I think that's a bit too much. So I think of some other things that come to mind that are not great for kids. So things that come to mind are like child labor, child soldiers, and then an interesting thing came to mind. If you're familiar with the Crusades, there was a children's crusade where I believe they shipped out of like Sicily, and the Pope or one of the rulers at the time was like, the only way we can beat the infidels is by putting a bunch of children on a ship and sending them to the Holy Land, and that's how we're gonna finally beat them. I don't even think they made it there. I'm pretty sure they died on the way, but that's just kind of the type of craziness that I'm kind of throwing into my brain meats right now. Now, the title of the song is usually a good option for something to pull out of a song, and he pretty much just continues to repeat, they not like us, they not like us. And honestly, that's a great line, because it's just kind of showcasing a division amongst people. Someone is not like someone else, and that can apply to many different things. Short, sweet, simple, love it. Now this fourth one, shape stories how you want, hey Drake, they're not slow. If you don't know, this is a rap beef song between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, which is crazy that it was played at the halftime show, which is another reason to talk about it here. So how it could relate to our situation is that the antagonist maybe is manipulating the masses. The antagonist, and maybe I'm slightly swayed from real world events to some degree, but someone is saying whatever they want, and especially with the people being divided, half of the people are just kind of like, yes, that is true, and maybe the other half of the people are like, yeah, no, what the hell are you talking about? And then last but not least, no, you not a colleague, you a fucking colonizer. So that kind of gives me, we can almost take that as face value, although like obviously in the song it's not literal, but we can kind of take that into like a natives versus empire type situation. So when we take all of this and we wrap it up and we think about like, okay, well, what is the jumping off point for our solo game? This is what I'm picturing based on the pieces from that song that I just pulled. And I think the pieces that I pulled, I think also like kind of encompass the song overall. There was some stuff that, you know, I'm not gonna go into like every little piece of the song with Drake's friends and stuff, right? But I think we kind of captured the essence of the song, even a portion of it that maybe is not ideal for a solo game, which is the A minor portion, but we were able to twist it in a way that does work, that's a little bit more palatable. So, and that's great. You don't always have to take things at face value. So this is, in my mind, this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing some type of leader, whether it's a emperor, a lord, king, whatever, right? And that leader, maybe they're not even the leader. Maybe they're like trying to become the leader. Maybe they're trying to usurp the actual leader that's good. I don't know. That's something that we could explore. But either way, that person is going to be using faith and fear as a tool to kind of help keep some of the masses in line that, hey, if you don't believe the things that I'm doing, the gods may smite you down, and the gods are always watching. So it's more than just, you know, me and the city guards being upset. It's also the gods. So that kind of goes into like the fear aspect. But we also have the manipulation aspect, where maybe that person directly, or maybe they even have their own like emissaries that go out and kind of speak on behalf of this person who's not great. Now, here's where things take a bad turn, because those things on their own, not necessarily like a kind of a conflict, but where this is really going to become a conflict is that this ruler, this Lord, Emperor, whatever, they're causing terrible things to happen to the natives and the children. So I think it should be the children of their actual people, and faith is being used as a tool for them to like be okay with their children to be sent away into like a child's crusade type situation, or some type of like child's army, where he's going to try and build these like faithful followers that can't question him or her at all. I assume him, I'm sorry, him or her. And so this way, the people that, if they have any doubt at all right now, he's growing these faithful followers from the ground up for like the future. And then there's also the problem with the natives, and you could probably roll on a table to determine like what are the natives in this situation. Is it orcs? Is it goblins? Is it elves? Is it dwarves? To do some obvious ones, but you could also do some non-obvious ones like Argonians and the Khajiit from Elder Scrolls, or cat folk or lizard folk, dragonkin, you know, go crazy. And that's where you can kind of either roll on a table or just kind of like, ooh, what do I think would be interesting? I think it would be frog people. So that's going to, of course, cause a divide. Your character in this solo adventure, I assume, would oppose this. Maybe they don't oppose this at first. I think that would almost be more interesting. Maybe they're initially on the side, and then whenever their child is taken, ooh, that would be good. That'd be a good hook. Their child is taken, and then they're like, wait a second. And then as they kind of peel back the curtain, then they start to realize like, oh my God, other stuff is happening to like the natives that are also terrible, and my neighbors are all like kind of brainwashed. But then you unveil like a group of people that is almost maybe like a rebel resistance of some kind. So I think that would be really, really cool. Your character is maybe a part of the initial supporters, and then they eventually change once it affects them directly. And I think with a child, that would be really cool on like a Taken situation. And you know, if that's too much, you know, you don't have to do that part specifically, or even take that out entirely. But it's an option. So yeah, I think that would be great. Your character is almost like a path of vengeance type situation, and they're starting as someone who is maybe just one of the people. So maybe they have some type of profession that can translate to becoming a hero, but is not necessarily initially like beneficial to combat. A good example that always comes to mind is like an armorer. So they're around weapons all the time, and I'm sure they swing the weapons around, but like they are not a warrior. But those skills may translate well. Understanding how armor works, how weapons work, and having used it to some degree, if for no other reason than to give to someone else. So those are my thoughts. How you can take a song, even if you just, you know, hit random in Spotify or whatever, or maybe you just are inspired by a certain type of song and you want to build a solo play from that. You have permission to really start it however you want. You always had permission, but if you need it, I'm giving you permission to just use whatever. And music is one of those options. You don't even need lyrics. You can just feel it. But in this case, we used lyrics. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that they say on YouTube. And let me know down below what other interesting things you might use to start a solo play. A lot of my favorite ideas just randomly come to me like in the shower. That just, when my mind is like empty, and then I just think of a random thing and I'm like, oh, I need to make a solo play out of that. I think that would be fun. So yeah, what kind of tools do you use and what other types of media do you use? Let me know in the comments. So, until next time, as we continue to explore the sacred art of gaming together.